Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something, well, pretty unique in the digital asset world. Dogecoin. You hear Dogecoin, you think memes, right? Elon Musk tweets, maybe that Shiba Inu dog. But there's often just so much noise. So our mission today is to cut right through that. We're looking at actual excerpts from the Dogecoin whitepaper, the documentation on whitepaper.io to figure out, what does Dogecoin say it is? It's this weird mix, isn't it? Like serious financial technology meets, well, internet silliness. Let's start right at the top of the source material. It gives a very straightforward definition.
It does, yeah, and it grounds it immediately in standard crypto principles. The source calls it an open source peer-to-peer digital currency. Now, for anyone familiar with crypto, that sounds pretty standard, but for Dogecoin, given its origins, actually stating that technical foundation up front is, well, it's key.
Okay, let's unpack peer-to-peer a bit more in this context. We know it means no central bank direct transactions, but technically for Dogecoin, what does that imply about how it operates? Especially thinking about, its sheer volume.
Right, that's a good point. Being P2P means the network itself validates everything, no single authority. For Dogecoin, which branched off from Litecoin's tech, this points to a design favoring maybe speed and lots of transactions rather than scarcity, like Bitcoin. So the whole architecture is sort of built for quick, decentralized payments, little ones potentially, microtransactions, which is interesting because, most people use it for speculation today.
Okay, and the open source bit, that's always touted as a huge plus in crypto transparency. Anyone can check the code.
Yeah.
But flipping that around, if anyone can see it, anyone can suggest changes. Doesn't that make actually governing it complicated?
No.
Especially with Dogecoin's community being famously, well, decentralized and maybe a bit chaotic.
That's a really critical question, actually. Yes, transparency is the upside. You can verify, you don't just have to trust. But the flip side for Dogecoin is that governance. Development relies on, basically, volunteers and community agreement. There isn't a big foundation with a pot of money deciding things. So yeah, getting updates done, making big changes, it can be slow. It really depends on the passion of those core developers.
So the technical nuts and bolts rely heavily on sustained community effort, not just the initial code.
Exactly. The integrity sort of rests on that continued goodwill and distributed work.
Right, so that sets the technical baseline. Decentralized, community dependent, makes sense.
Yeah.
But then the source material just takes this hard left turn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right after the technical definition, it says, Dogecoin is favored by Shiba Inus worldwide.
Uh-huh. And that line, that's probably the most Dogecoin thing in the entire document. I mean, think about it. A white paper usually talks about algorithms, economics. Dogecoin's white paper basically says, yeah, we do all that tech stuff, but also we're about this internet dog meme.
Yeah.
This is completely intentional.
It feels like such a deliberate choice, embedding that right in the core text. It's like they're acknowledging, look, our value isn't just the tech, it's the culture, the community.
Absolutely. It's an identity statement. It tells you right away, this is meant to be fun, approachable, maybe not so deadly serious as other projects. Stating it's favored by Shiba Inus connects that, cold blockchain logic directly to the warmth and humor of the meme. It's marketing inside the technical document.
But does putting a joke, essentially, right next to the serious P2P definition risk undermining the technical side? It's like saying we're serious, but also all.
It's definitely a balancing act. You could see it as undermining, yeah. But I think it actually shows a really smart understanding of modern branding almost. In a super crowded crypto market, having a distinct personality matters a lot. The joke pulls people in, makes it memorable. The open source code underneath is what gives it, the actual function. So the source is kind of saying, we work, technically speaking, but don't expect us to be corporate and stuffy. Our vibe, our community, that's a real strength.
That's a great way to put it. Using humor as a core strength.
Okay,
that kind of tees up the next part. These very specific data points they include. Yeah, the source gives us this little snapshot. Price, 0.0588, and return, 0.33%. Just right there.
And that is really telling, too. Go read the original Bitcoin white paper. You won't find a price anywhere. It's pure theory, pure structure. This source, though, by including those numbers, immediately anchors Dogecoin in its reality as, well, something people trade, a speculative asset.
Why do you think a site like whitepaper.io includes that sort of live-ish data, that 0.0588, the tiny return? Tell us about how Dogecoin is actually used compared to maybe its original design.
Well, I think it reflects what people looking up Dogecoin want to know, right? They want the technical definition, sure, but they also want to know, okay, what's it worth now? So providing the price, even a small return percentage, acknowledges that, yeah, for many, maybe most users, it's an investment first, a currency second. That 0.0588 tech, it's fleeting, but it puts a number on the project's perceived value at that moment.
Right, it's a specific moment captured. That 0.33% return, even if small, it frames it as something that moves, something you track like an investment.
Precisely. And that brings us to the source itself, whitepaper.io. The fact we're getting this from a place that calls itself the leading database of cryptocurrency white papers, that adds another layer.
Okay, so how does having this somewhat informal Dogecoin document hosted on a formal database like whitepaper.io change things? Does it give the Doge paper more authority?
I think it definitely lends it a kind of institutional legitimacy, yeah. Even if the content is quirky. Whitepaper.io is trying to organize this chaotic space, right? Standardize how you access info on all these coins. They add structure links, contacts, those price snapshots. So putting Dogecoin in that formal framework suggests that, hey, even the coin that started as a joke is now a serious enough part of the ecosystem to be documented and tracked properly.
So the container itself reinforces the paradox. You've got this fun, meme-based content inside a very structured industry standard system. That says something about how crypto documentation has evolved, maybe.
I think it does.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Beyond the snapshot, there's a hint at longevity here, too. Down near the bottom of the source text, there's a copyright date range, 2017-2022.
Yes. And honestly, that little date range might be one of the most revealing things here, because it speaks volumes about how long the joke has actually lasted and been maintained. 5 years of copyright implies someone was paying attention, updating documentation, keeping things current over a significant period. That's where the fun meme coin idea meets the less glamorous reality of software maintenance.
So what does that 5-year span, which covers like a huge crypto boom and then a crash, tell us about the Dogecoin governance structure?
We said it was community-driven. It tells us that the community, however loose it might seem, actually functions. You don't keep software ticking over, even with small updates, for 5 years without some coordination, some funding perhaps, and definitely committed developers. The 2017 start date is interesting too. That's well after the 2013 launch. It suggests maybe a point where the community realized, okay, this isn't just vanishing. We need to treat it like a real ongoing project.
So the joke kind of grew up into, well, maybe not a company, but a sustained project. It implies countless hours of likely unpaid open source work just to keep that 75-cent coin usable.
Exactly right. And that ongoing effort is what separates Dogecoin from tons of other meme coins that just fizzled out. That 2017-2022 timeline shows resilience. It shows that cycle of community work needed to back up the P2P and open source promises. It turns it from just satire into something more.
That ongoing maintenance effort, that's kind of the hidden story beneath the Shiba Inu face, isn't it?
It really is.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together for you listening. We look past the hype, just at the source text. And we found Dogecoin defines itself technically open source peer-to-peer digital currency. Solid foundation. But uniquely, it wears its meme heart on its sleeve, claiming it's favored by Shiba Inus worldwide. It's grounded in market reality with specific data points like that BETA.0588 price. And crucially, it's sustained by years of documented effort, shown by that 2017-2022 copyright.
Yeah, and if you think about that blend, the tech, the culture, the maintenance, it raises a really interesting final thought for you to ponder. You've got this technical core, the code, which needs fairly centralized effort to maintain, right? Open source development still needs coordination, but its value, its energy comes from this wildly decentralized meme-fueled community. So the question is, how do you keep those two things aligned long term? How does the ongoing joke or the community vibe continue to support the very real work needed to maintain the enterprise? That's the tricky balance.
How does decentralized hype sustain centralized code development? Yeah, that's definitely something to chew on as this whole space keeps changing. Great discussion. Thanks for diving deep with us today.